Hey everybody, this is Erman Baradi. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you know, I do a lot of entertainment industry events, but the last few weeks we've been doing a lot of non-entertainment industry Q&As or interviews or whatever you want to call it, conversation with people. I've been doing a lot of conversations with people from all ends of the political spectrum. I feel like this is a year where we should get to know uh, everyone out there who has a different opinion from you because it's a very divisive time. I would love people to take the opportunity to connect with people who do not share the same opinions, do not share the same political stances on things, but have organic and healthy conversations. Today we have Roxy Ndebumadu, love your name by the way, council member of District 4 in the city of Bowie in Prince George's County, Maryland. I was like, hopefully I don't get it wrong. But
No.
thank you so much for your time, Roxy. I appreciate you returning my message.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Thank you for reaching out. I'm so excited to
This is
have.
amazing.
I know. Even in the midst of COVID, the fact that we can still connect in this way and still have these insightful conversations, in my space, in your space, it
Yes.
kind of gives you that feeling that you get to know a person a little bit more deeply too, because you get to see my space, I get to see yours, and we get to have a conversation in our own comfort.
Hey, we're strangers becoming friends, right?
There you go. There you go.
Even though I am in the DMV at the moment. I live in LA, but I'm currently in Virginia Beach with my family. So we're kind of
Oh,
neighbors.
yes, we're kind of neighbors. We're close.
So the reason I reached out to you is because I feel like this is a year where labels are thrown out the window. We used to think because you're this color, because you're this sexuality, you had to vote this way, you had to vote that way. But nowadays it's not like that. Even though a lot of people can think that way, a lot of people running for office, they run the gamut. So for you, I would love to know your background, how you got started in politics, your I guess your environment growing up, all that kind of stuff, and what led you to conservative values. Because when you think Black women, you think liberal Democrat, but for you ran for office as a conservative. So let's get into that and tell us how you got into politics and why politics and what shaped your values.
I thought you'd never ask. So I grew up between the United States and Nigeria. I was born in Prince George's County, Maryland. So I've been here for roughly about 27 years. My mother immigrated over here from Nigeria in order to be able to have a better quality of life, in order to give her child a better life as well. So when she got over here in America, she was immediately able to quickly become a nurse. And I remember those days, honestly, sitting in the back of the classroom with her. Like, I was that screaming child where people were like, could you just shut your child up? And I was like that one in the back, like, I need another puzzle, mommy. So, I went to school with her every single day until she became a nurse. And we ended up, moving up in the world as she started to work really, really, really hard and establish herself. But on the other side of that, I spent a significant amount of time in the villages of Nigeria. So, our family is from the Lagos area as well as Enugu, and our village is actually called Arochukwu, which most of you might not be familiar with. But in the village, you get the vibe and this experience of people who don't have access to water readily, people who don't have access to energy. I don't know if you guys know much about Nigeria, but the government tends to take the light a lot, the energy, to conserve it,
Okay.
and for various reasons. So you grow up in this environment where any moment your light could be turned off, and if you don't have the money to afford a generator, you're going to sit in pitch darkness until they decide to turn it back on. Same thing with broadband. You grow up in this area where broadband is just not really there. It's not available. So your access to technology and opportunity is pretty limited. But you also grow up with this entrepreneurial mindset. Like, at 8 years old, we're on the side of the corner selling water or selling things, or learning how to establish a business, learning how to get customers, learning how to get people to understand our journey and support us. So these are all of the things that you grow up with. So when you take a person like me who grew up with both sides of the spectrum, where I grew up with, in the American society, I am an American citizen. And then my mother, who, immigrated here from Nigeria, watching her go through the process of immigration and going through that experience, and it taking her 30-something years to become a US citizen, watching her work hard to become a nurse, me paying my way through college because I just didn't have parents that could afford to send me to, college. I ended up graduating from Howard University with a degree in healthcare sciences. And strictly after graduating from Howard University, I went on to work at Microsoft, where I am currently a customer success manager.
Okay.
And I
Nice.
technology for the federal government and really manage my book of business and make sure that the federal government is implementing technologies that are going to further advance the mission of the United States of America. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Why I ran for this particular seat and why I decided to get into politics is because I got tired of sitting on the sidelines and watching our elected officials not truly advocate for the needs of society. I mean, if you look at every person that an elected official represents, most of them are average, everyday Americans who are working to provide a better life for their families, who want stability and security and comfort. So when you look at that and you actually go to forums or you go to events or you meet people out in the community and you hear them talk to you, most elected officials don't really hear what these people are saying and what they're actually asking you for. It's not that they're saying, oh, we want everything for free. It's not that they're saying, oh, we don't want to work hard. What they're really saying, most people aren't delivering on. And so for me, I kind of got tired of that. I got tired of not having advocacy at that level. Growing up, I never really had many people to advocate for me because my mom was trying to figure out how to blend in this society, as was I. My father was never really in the picture. So you had this kind of person who grew up wishing that there was a certain level of advocacy and people were able to hear what I was actually saying. So I was told by my mentors, look, you're really passionate about this stuff. You're really passionate about people. You're not a normal politician, meaning that you never grew up wanting to be in politics. Why don't you just run? So I did. I ran for a month and a half in a nonpartisan race here in the city of Bowie. I ran against 4 other opponents who had been running for months. I literally approximately ran for probably 45 days and I won by 16 votes.
Wait, how many days?
45 days.
Oh, wow.
I won by 16 votes, 717 votes. So we split that. There were 5 of us on the ballot. So yeah, I won by 16 votes and it was a pretty tough race, but it really took me getting out there and knocking on, I want to say I knocked personally on 1,553 doors out of 15,000 people that are in my district. And then in our city, we have 68,000 residents here. So I got a chance to knock on about, 1,500 doors. The rest, I sent a lot of mail out to make sure that people understood where I was coming from and what it was that I was passionate about. And that's how we ended up here.
Can I interject really quick? So when you run for city council, do they know which party you No. Okay.
I'm running for city council. When I ran for city council, people did not, like on the ballot when you go to vote, it doesn't say a political party because it is a nonpartisan race. However, when you are talking to people and you are knocking at doors, or if you're standing at outside of an election polling place, I'm pretty sure people are, the first thing that people say is, so what party are you with?
Exactly, yeah.
You registered with. In my case, some people assume that I'm a Democrat because I'm Black. I'm a Black woman in a urban area. So a lot of
And you're young.
And I'm young. Yeah.
So
people just assume, oh, she's a Democrat. But those who don't assume, or even if they do assume, they still do ask and double check, like, hey, what party are you? And I'm not a liar. So I was very honest with you. I said, hey, look, I'm a Republican. And
I'm sure they looked at you like,
they were like, I'm sorry, what? Whoa. And then they were like, well, Roxy, that's interesting. Why?
Yeah.
You had, once I said that, you had some people who would say, well, I kind of feel the same way. I'm only registered as a Democrat because in the state of Maryland, if you are a Republican, you can't get anything done.
Wait, hold on. Okay, let's put a pin in that and jump to that later. I want to talk about that later on. Like, keep on going. I'll keep going. I want to put a pin on that subject and go back to later. Yeah.
Then on the other side, you had people who are just like, well, wow, can you tell me why you're a Republican? Because I don't understand how somebody like you, who is Black, who is young, who, graduated from Howard University, who's personable, who's authentic and outgoing and intelligent. Why are you a part of that party? Why did you choose that? Like, why? Talk to me. Like, I want to learn because my mind is blown. Because when I look at the Republican Party, I don't see people that look like you. So I want to know what's going on there. So as I continue to have that conversation with all the doors that I knocked on and continue to explain to people, kind of, these are the things that I want to do in the city. This is the reason why I'm a Republican. A lot of people were very open to that mentality of, wow, I feel like I have been told that I have to be a Democrat by my parents or by my environment or by society because I fit a certain demographic or I fit a certain mold.
It's interesting you say that. When I was in high school or middle school, someone told me the same thing. It's like, oh, you're Asian, you're colored, you have to vote this way. When I asked them why, they're just like, oh, I don't know, I guess because I have to. Like, so it's interesting. Yeah. So also, fun fact, you made history by being the youngest woman elected to serve as Bowie City Councilwoman and the first African American woman to represent the district. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's go there because you mentioned it earlier. The thing we put a pin in. So you said that if people find out you're a registered Republican in the state of Maryland, you lack opportunities in the state.
From an engagement perspective, in terms of being engaged, look, I mean, I would wish that this is not the case, but things are very partisan. People have gotten into this environment of let's play identity politics, and that's just not what's important. Look, I sit on a council with 7 individuals, including myself. I am the only Republican that sits on that city council out of the other out of 7 of us.
Okay.
And what that means is when I put forth legislation or when I put forth ideas, and if you research my track record and you research a lot of the things that I've done while I've been on city council in these short 8 or 9 months that we've been there, my residents aren't sitting here saying, oh, we're not happy that she did that because she's a Republican. The people that tend to care more about that are the people that get so caught up into party politics that they start to try to hold you back because they're playing identity politics, which is quite frankly not important. At the local level, what we're here to is create a safe place for our residents to enjoy the community that they choose to live in and they choose to pay their taxes in, and provide them with certain services that will promote a certain quality of life that they choose to come here to experience in the first place.
Yeah.
Republican versus Democrat and all that other stuff has no home here, to be genuinely quite frank with you. And quite frankly, I don't understand when we entered this day and age where your political party became a big deal. At the end of the day, you need people that think differently and that look differently, that represent the vast majority of America. We all don't look the same. We all don't come from the same background. We all don't have the same experiences. Like me growing up in a basically poverty environment, I don't have the experience of somebody who is rich or somebody whose parents paid for them to go to college or things of that sort. So you need people with those different experiences to be able to bring a holistic idea or creation to the table. And so when we got into this environment of, oh, you're Republican versus you're Democrat, it's just not, it's not conducive, and it doesn't do anything to essentially help us progress and help us create a better community for the people that live here.
Right, absolutely. And this year is a very interesting year for, several different reasons, obviously, but something I did notice is that on a state and local level, a lot of minorities and women are running as Republican for office. And it's just interesting to me because in the mainstream sense, of course, mainstream in the default setting is liberal, So yeah. The portrait they paint of those on the right are old, rich white men. But right. If you actually look deeply into the party nowadays, there's a variety, religiously, gender, color, it runs a spectrum. So why do you feel like a lot more minorities in 2020 are running as Republican? It's interesting, in your own state, a blue state, Shannon Wright is the GOP nominee for the governor, right? So yeah. It's very interesting, and she's a Black woman. So why is it, do you think, in 2020, a lot of minorities are running for office on the right?
There are a couple of people that I want to make an example of. There is a beautiful and amazing young woman named Maria Bismail who's running for Baltimore County Council out in Baltimore. There's another beautiful, amazing young woman, and these are both African-American women, named Brenda, who's running for Hagerstown City Council, and they're both Republican. They are both intelligent, they both have wonderful jobs, and they both have great families. I think that because for a very long time, Black people in our community has been told that this is what's right, and if you go against this, what we're telling you, then you are wrong or you no longer fit in here. I think because of that, or because my parents did this, so I want to do that too, a lot of people have not been able to find their own identity, their own ideals, and their own belief. And so you're dealing with a perception issue where a lot of people feel like, oh, okay, the Republican Party doesn't really care about you, or Republican policies don't reflect the progression of American people, which is actually not really true when you talk about the policies. It doesn't reflect that. And I think a lot of people, because they may have not really ever done their full research on the policies of the Republican Party or the policies of the Democratic Party, a lot of people are just uninformed or uneducated, where they just don't really know what each party actually stands for, and they don't hear the stories that are coming out of the policies that are being created by each party. So I think when you look at our community, specifically the African American community, we are told that you have to be this in order for it to be justified that you're Black, and if you go against that, then you're not Black. But
Right.
I mean, hey, look, you see my skin? Nobody's gonna tell me that. Okay, like we're Black here. We went to Howard University. I went to Morgan State University too. Like, we are full on Black here. Okay, so I think people have to be willing, and a lot of people aren't, because that goes back into the identity situation. Do you know your identity, and are you comfortable being yourself around a society that tries to make you seem like you're a bad person should you choose to be a registered Republican? So it goes back to those residents saying, hey, Roxy, we're registered Democrat, but we align with conservative values, or we align with the Republican Party, but we can't be registered Republican because we may be shunned, or we may not be able to participate, or our voices won't be heard as loudly, or we may not be able to get things done, which honestly, I think is taking us back decades than it is taking us further, because America is founded on freedom. This is a place where you give people an opportunity to be themselves. You know what I mean? So when you start changing that perception or changing people's reality, where you're stripping away their identity or their ability for them to believe in what they want to believe in, then what are we really doing? Where are we really, honestly? Like, why would people even want to come here, genuinely?
Let me ask you this, because there was an interesting study that came out recently, and I forget the exact numbers, but I believe it was from Cato Institute. They did a study where 62% of the people who they surveyed said that they don't believe that they can openly express their political opinion without being shunned. Of course, majority of them were conservatives. So they had like a graph where staunch liberals are totally open to expressing them because there's no fear, right? Whereas like conservatives, it was like down here and went like down. The line went down because they don't feel like they'd openly express themselves because of the fear of being canceled or shunned or whatever words you want to use. But do you feel like this concept of the silent majority exists?
Oh, 100%. I mean, my colleagues have literally said, I mean, these words have uttered out of their lips. And me as a person, I just want to preface it before I tell you what it is, because I would never, like, ever do this to somebody. But some of my colleagues have said, oh, we're going to try our best to make her look like a horrible person and discredit her as much as we possibly can to taint her narrative, because we can't let a Republican look good. What? I'm sorry, what? Like, can we just dig into that one statement for a little? Like, that is crazy. I would never, ever, not only do I not think that way, but I would never, ever say, I'm going to hinder my colleague from being progressive in terms of the ideas or what they're trying to do to move our community forward because you're a Democrat. Who cares? What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about change that impacts the lives of 68,000 people. I don't have time nor the energy to then sit there and try to make you look horrible to make myself look better. At the end of the day, we need to work together. And that's really what the problem is. There's no unity. So yes, to your point, you have a lot of people who don't feel comfortable. To be honest, I didn't feel comfortable a year ago. You never, ever, if you look at my social media, you never heard me talk about my political opinion.
You said I had 45 days left. Should I do it or not?
No, literally, I was like, Roxy, let's weigh this. Think heavily. I mean, because when you put it out there, you subject yourself to so much scrutiny. I mean, I work for Microsoft, for God's sakes. Like, you subject yourself to so much scrutiny where you're putting it on the forefront and the blast of, hey, I'm a Republican, in an area where people are just, quite frankly, uncomfortable with that word in itself, or uncomfortable with the fact that you align that way. But at the end of the day, and this was a growth process for me and a journey for me, I am who I am and I have to own that. And if people don't want to align with me because of a label, then join the list of other people who have labeled me, who have stereotyped me. Oh, I'm Black because so I must be ghetto. Oh, I graduated from Howard. I didn't go to Harvard, so I must not be that educated. Oh, I live in Bowie, so I must be rich or I must be poor. Oh, I work for Microsoft. Does that mean I'm destroying the world through technology because of Bill Gates? I mean, join the list of labels. So if you want to be a leader and you want to enact change, I had to realize, and I had to, preach to myself and tell myself, I can't continue to allow labels and what other people think of me or think of the Republican Party or just Republicans in general to hold back the things and the amazing things that I know that I can do for my community.
That was an amazing answer. Off the top of your head. Folks,
Yeah.
that wasn't pre-written. I didn't give her a question ahead of time. That was amazing. That was amazing. So let's dive into your policies or your political opinions, because people may look into you and go, oh, I guess she doesn't care about women's rights because she's a Republican. She doesn't care about immigrants. She doesn't care about minorities. Like, so what are what in your political opinion, what is important to you?
So honestly, everything that you've stated is important to me. So the way that I draw, or the way that I like to articulate or analyze what's important to me, stem from all of the experiences that I've had and all of the experiences that my family has had in America, as well as my friends. So while I don't focus so much on national issues because I am at the local level, and
Yes.
honestly, all politics is local. That's how we like to say. I don't focus too much on them. But what I will say is all of those things are important to me. Women's issues. I am a woman. I am a woman in a male-dominated field. I work in tech and I work in the federal government as well. Those are two very male-dominated fields, and they're two primarily Caucasian-dominated fields. So I care about women's issues. I care about race. I care about immigration because my mother was an immigrant and my whole family, we're from Nigeria. I mean, listen to my last name. My last name is Ndebumadu. Like, that's how you truly pronounce it. So of course I care about those things. Of course I care about tax issues. Of course I care about healthcare. I went to school for healthcare. I studied that for 4 years. So of course I care about those things. I care about all of those things that are issues that most people think that a traditional Republican wouldn't care about, because at the end of the day, these are lived experiences of people, including myself and including every average American that's out here trying to make it or trying to live what they perceive to be a fulfilling life. And some of these things are obstacles that stand in the way. So of course I care about all those issues. It's just that at this time, I don't have the ability to focus on affecting some of those issues because at the local level, we just don't have power over them. We just don't have certain controls or certain rights. So what we can do is we can work with our state elected officials, and we can work with our federal elected officials to make sure that they understand the voice of the community and what it is that the community is struggling with, which is what I will say, our administration is great at in the sense of Governor Hogan. He's done a phenomenal job. Governor Hogan and his entire cabinet, they do a great job listening and making sure that they're hearing what's going on in the state of Maryland and what is truly affecting people to figure out, okay, this is what the problem is. This is what I'm hearing from my locally elected officials. This is how we're going to fix it. And this is what we're going to do going forward from a policy perspective. And if there is something that we need to reinforce at the local level, we take that on. So I think this notion of because you're a Republican, you can't care about issues that I guess Democrats have branded as their priority, it's just completely a fallacy.
Another great answer. That was completely off the top of your dome. I love it. You're killing today.
Thank you.
I ask this to everybody, and so hopefully I don't put you on the spot.
Oh, no problem.
Because like I said, I interview people on both sides. So for you, what is something that you wish was different or a little bit tweaked about your party? And also, what do you like about the left and their policies, or maybe just the culture? What do you like about the other side?
Let me tell you what I like, what I absolutely love. I love that we are focused on providing opportunity for people, whether that's in the realm of housing, whether that's in the realm of the workforce, whether that's in the realm of empowering people to be able to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. If you look at the stuff around workforce development that a lot of corporations are starting to step up and get involved in and make sure that they're skilling the world, because we're starting to see a drastic decline in terms of the jobs that people are qualified for versus the jobs that we actually have available. So we're starting to see a gap in that. So I love that we have been so forward in the sense of this is what we need to do in order to skill the workforce to be able to get this gap kind of alleviated. I love the fact that we don't require certain things in order for you to do certain jobs. I think I've been a victim of that, where people will look at me and be like, well, Roxy, you don't have a JD, you don't have an MBA, you don't have this, and look for reasons to discount you. And it doesn't help that I'm Black, so that makes it even worse, where it knocks me out of the playing field, where I can't even compete for the role and show you why I'm qualified or why it's justified that I should be getting it, because you've already assessed me based off of all these stigmas. So I love that we're doing away with all of that. I love what we're doing with opportunity zones. Senator Scott is phenomenal. Like, I know this interview is not meant to go on and on about him, but he's just a person. He is a great example of amazing leadership and taking areas where we can revitalize them and rebuild them and doing just that and giving people an opportunity. So I love this mentality of let's come together and provide opportunity and promote individual success for people who want it, for people who are trying, for people who have not been given a break. And let's give them that break to make sure that they're able to get those opportunities that they've been missing out on. I absolutely adore that. In terms of what don't I don't like our branding.
Okay, fair enough.
We are branded as this party that doesn't get it, doesn't understand, that's not inclusive. And that could be true to a certain extent. It quite frankly is. I wish we did better. I wish we made more of an effort to go out into those communities where we just haven't been prevalent, where we haven't shown much love, and do better there. Which is why, to answer your question 2 questions ago, you're seeing so many women step up, so many minority women step up, because we're tired of that. We're like, look, for example, yeah, you may have given up on the state of Maryland, but I haven't. So I'm going to go into those communities that you've never made the priority to go to. And I'm not going to try to pitch to them why they should accept a Republican, why they should become Republican. I'm not going to do, what I am going to do is talk to them about their struggles and help them understand how I can help them in the process of their struggles. That's what I am going to do. And so I don't like that we have adopted this mentality that bare minimum in terms of inclusivity is okay, because it's not. The most dangerous thing in the world is a person who feels unheard. It is so dangerous. And it's dangerous because of the simple fact that when people feel like you don't see them and you don't hear them, they start to result to what they know as their reality. So you see people rioting, you see people screaming, you see people yelling, you see people potentially cussing you out, because that's what their reality is. That's how they know how to affect change. They don't feel heard. So that's the entire reason as to why that's happening. So until we do a better job making people understand that we hear them and we care, and that we're here to lend that olive branch and work together, our party is going to continue to be branded as the same. And people like me and people like other minority candidates who are stepping up to try to change that narrative, we're not going to be okay with it. We're not going to be settled with it. We're not going to stop speaking out against it and holding the party accountable and holding them responsible for doing better. That's what we're here to do. That's what millennials are here to do. You know that.
Absolutely. And I think also it comes down to like minorities and women actually winning elections in the Republican Party. So that might be something that the right has to do in order for them to physically show, hey guys, we're not just old white men.
100%. I mean, we have to put, it's almost like that saying, whether they say, put your money where your mouth is, we have to put effort where we see potential, where we see possibility. But first you have to change the minds of somebody on what they deem as possible and what they deem as potential. If you're not an optimistic person and you don't see the future and you don't have that vision, you won't even put effort into something that you cannot see. So they need to do a better job opening their eyes and trying to be understanding and empathetic and learn the lived experiences of other people who want to be engaged, and make the effort to help them get there so that we can grow as a party. Because if not, we won't be able to stand in the next few years.
Absolutely. And so on that with the same question, the second part of it is, if you don't mind, what do you like about the left?
I love that they have such great loyalty, in the sense of they have a lot of voters and a lot of constituents and a lot of people in America who are very loyal. So no matter what they say, no matter what they do, they have that certain loyalty and that trust that's built, that, hey, no matter what this means or what you think I'm saying, just know that I'm doing the right thing, whether it looks bad or not, or whether it makes sense or not. So I think they've done a great job at fostering that loyalty. I think that they're just a lot louder in the
Yeah.
sense of what they push. So they put a lot more effort into it. They're a lot louder, and they do a better job at branding. They do a better job at reaching out to those minority communities, and just all communities and all genders and everything. They just do a better job reaching out and taking everybody along the journey with them, which is something that I feel that we lack in.
Yeah.
So I think they do a really good job in making people think that they are along this journey with them, and that no matter what they're facing, that they will always be there to take care of them.
There you go. Look at that common ground. Little common ground there. Yeah. So you seem like a fun person. So I have to ask you these rapid fire lightning round questions. Politics aside, just fun stuff. So
Yeah.
Roxy, what are you binge watching right now?
Oh my gosh, really? Okay, so what am I binge watching? I am binge watching Little Fires Everywhere. And if you haven't seen it on Hulu, you are missing out big time. It is with Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon, and it's such a phenomenal series. It actually has a book too. Has a book after. I forgot what the name of the author is, because the book is literally around the corner in my bedroom. But it's a great series of, kind of just like these. Reese Witherspoon plays this Caucasian woman. Kerry Washington plays this African-American woman, and they come from two different worlds, and they learn how to cope and survive together and grow a friendship and see what it looks like to raise children on opposite sides of the spectrum, how one is accepted in a community versus how one is not accepted in a community. So, I mean, it's a phenomenal show. It honestly sucks you in by each episode, and I think everybody should watch it.
Okay, I'm putting that on my list too.
Yeah, you have to. And the other one is Money Heist on Netflix. You're missing out. That is my okay. The Professor, come on. This guy is genius.
Spoiler alert. Hopefully nothing bad happens to him in the season 4 opener or season 5 opener.
I know. I'm not saying I endorse anything that he's doing. Just want to put that out there for the public. I'm just saying this is a great show.
I wouldn't be him in real life, but I like watching him on TV.
So strategic. I mean, my gosh. He just knows everything so well. He knows that if he moves this way, what you're going to do 10 minutes before you do it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So strategic. Everything is like a chess game with him. It's so crazy. Yeah. Last book you read?
Last book I read, oh my gosh, I read so many books, and I read multiple books at a time. I'm reading 3 books right now, actually. One is called The Second Mountain. Phenomenal book, because I really love, kind of self-help type books that are kind of continuing to expose me to connecting deeper with myself as well as with others. Untamed by Gwendolyn Doyle. Untamed is a book that basically teaches you and it tells stories of a woman, but it really just talks about how you are who you are and you own it. Look, I know I'm a badass. I own it. I don't apologize for it. I don't apologize that some people feel uncomfortable when they're around my vibrant energy. I don't apologize that people are not okay with my Republicanness. I don't apologize that I'm a fashionable African-American woman who loves dressing, who is passionate about her community, who is passionate about women and children and education and all these things. I don't apologize for that. So Untamed talks about just owning your badassness. That's the first one. And then the other one that I'm reading is The Hopefuls. The Hopefuls is about basically a couple that moved to DC because her husband got in politics and how she basically adjusts. So it tells that story.
Love that. Okay.
At all times.
You got to email me that list. Okay.
I'm a book junkie. I order books from Amazon literally twice a week, and then I'm one of those people where I send my friends books too. I'm like, hey, you need to read this. So I'll just mail it to them and be like, enjoy.
Which artists are you listening to nowadays?
Which what?
Which artist? Which music artist?
Oh, music artist. Okay, so I don't want to say I'm an odd person, but I'm very different in the sense that I love listening to jazz. I listen to jazz all the time. I listen to a lot of Spanish music that I don't understand what's being said, but I know the words. So that's really interesting on my behalf. I need to do a better job learning more languages. I listen to a lot of African music, of course, because I'm African and I love my culture. I listen to a lot of pop because I like to work out. So I like to have a fun tune to vibe with, lift those weights up and all that fun stuff. So I listen to a lot of that, but my most favorite is jazz for sure. I'm a sucker for jazz. Like it's so deep that if I start playing the song, like I'm like playing piano and acting it out and all that. Like it's really deep.
I think you love this one. Favorite political commentator?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You're like, let me take out my list here.
I'm like, hold on, I don't really know. I don't really have one. We're gonna have to skip that one. I'm gonna say myself today.
Okay, hey, why not? Fair answer.
Myself.
Fair answer. Last movie you watched?
Last movie. I think it was something in theaters.
What's that? I'm kidding. What's a theater?
I feel like I saw the last movie I saw wasn't like a movie, proper movie, was in theaters. Oh my gosh, it was this Just Mercy, last movie I saw.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful, absolutely. I actually saw it with my company right before coronavirus.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what's funny? Mm-hmm. That segues into my next question. We went past the lightning round questions. Just kind of wanted to soften you up a little bit before we go super deep into something.
Oh my God.
Obviously, 2020, except 2020 is a very interesting year. A lot of things going on. COVID, civil unrest. As a Black woman in politics, in the Republican Party, people may look at you and go, or the party in general, and go, hey, you don't care about us, you don't hear us, we're out here on the streets protesting, but I feel like you're anti-us, or you're not for us, or you won't listen, So what is your message to those people who are on the streets, wanting change, and how do you feel like you can communicate with them, or how you can help them, or maybe, and also work out some misconceptions that they have for the party when it comes to social justice, civil justice, all that kind of stuff?
I'm very transparent in the sense that I make sure that people understand I can't change the way that you see the Republican Party, but I can change the way that you see individual Republicans, starting with myself. I can show you what different looks like. I can show you what relatability looks like, and I can show you what passionate advocacy looks like. So I don't focus too much on trying to convince people to like or dislike the Republican Party. I focus on making sure that as they are witnessing me, as they are experiencing me as an elected official, what that looks like to be a Black minority, young, millennial woman that is a Republican. That is what I focus on. And it's funny, it's not funny, but what I'm saying is like, it's crazy and it's mind blowing because I don't look at the streets and see people protesting because I've been out there with them. We had a group of 16-year-olds who arranged a quiet protest on their Friday. These girls and boys decided that they weren't going to spend time watching music videos, watching Netflix, doing whatever it is that you do at the normal age of 16. They were going to spend time being outside advocating for why their life matters and making sure that people understand the lived experiences of people that don't look like them. My message has always been, as I've spoken at a number of rallies, is it's our responsibilities as elected officials to bring forth that change. It's not your responsibility. That's the reason why you go out and vote. That's the reason why your vote is so powerful. I think what this year has shown us is how important voting actually is, because you have the power to elect certain types of people into office to truly make sure that they are advocating for you and your interests and what it means to have equity for all. Like, you have the power to do that. You have the power to elect people who feel and know that Black lives do matter every day, all day, 365 days a year. Don't you ever forget it. So I think my message to people has been continue to reach out to your elected officials, continue to hold people accountable, and do it in a peaceful way so that your message continues to get across, so that people like me and people like, our governor or our state delegates or our state senators or our county council can continue to hear that feedback of where you feel that the gaps are, so we can make the changes. Because I know what I think the gaps are, but I want to know what everybody else thinks that the gaps are, so that when I'm walking into the room and I'm talking to our police chief, or I'm talking to the county council, or I'm talking to whoever, I can sit there and say, no, District 4 feels like X, and that's wrong, and this is how we're going to go forward. I can be that advocate because that's really my job. That's what I'm here to do. So what I've continued to tell everybody is, what we will do as elected officials is continue to amplify your voices, continue to promote change, continue to enact legislation that promotes equity for specifically Black people, as well as everybody which we represent. And we're going to continue to hold that promise near and dear in our whole heart and hold people accountable. And when people do not do things that reflect those values, we will call them out, and we will make sure that we make it difficult for them, because that is what we're there to do. And we will continue to make sure that people understand that Black lives do matter. And by saying Black lives matter, it doesn't mean that no one else's life matters. It just means that Black lives matter as well. It just means that Black people are subject to different types of acts. If you look at myself, when I go for job interviews or when I walk into meetings with the federal government on behalf of Microsoft, people still think I'm an intern. Why do you think that? Because I'm a Black young woman? Does that mean that I couldn't be intelligent, that I couldn't be the one that's leading this group of my Caucasian team members? Why do you automatically assume that I am not good enough? That's what that means. That's what that experience looked like. And until we continue to reach over and understand the lived experiences of other people, we naturally won't get anywhere. So like I've said, like you've heard me say, and you're probably like, Roxy, I get it. We will continue to advocate for the changes that need to be made, starting with correcting things that are wrong, putting forth new legislation that protects each and every person, especially Black people.
See, I softened you up, and look at that amazing answer. You're like, no. I was not expecting that. You're like, I was not expecting that answer or that question.
No, seriously, because we've done a lot. Like last week, it was not last week, 2 weeks ago, I introduced Juneteenth as an actual holiday in the city. So the city of Bowie observes Juneteenth now, where we do ceremonial events, and we also do,
So you brought that to the table?
I did bring that to the table,
nice.
And it passed with the 7 votes. Yep. So we did that.
Look at you.
Yeah, I know. We did that about a couple of weeks ago. We've done a lot of things, and we have a lot of projects coming up with me in particular, and things that I'm focused on to make sure that we're providing opportunities for our brown kids that live here in the city. Because when you look at Prince George's County, for those who are unaware, it is one of the biggest African-American, like predominantly African-American counties in the United States. Seriously, we have so many African-American people who live in Prince George's County and who are doing well, but they're still not treated equally. Equity still doesn't exist. I shouldn't have to go move out of the state or go move to another place in the world for you to treat me like I matter. That's ridiculous. We should be past that. It's 2020. And if I have to fear and I have to live in fear in a world where I may think that my kids may be treated a certain type of way, I don't want to live here
either. I understand. Totally understand. Now, before we go, I have to ask, because I like you. I like you, Roxy.
Thank you. I like you too.
Right now you're a councilwoman.
Yes.
What are your political aspirations in the years ahead? Mayor, governor, president? What are you hoping for?
That is a great, great question. I think where I am is I move at the beat of my constituents. So if my constituents come to me at a later time and say, Roxy, we don't want you here anymore, we need you on a higher platform, then that's where I'll go. But for right now, my focus is on making a change in Bowie and making sure that we do what we need to do for the residents that elected us, and not focusing on what else is out there. Because if I don't bring impact to this city, if I don't bring change to this city, then I have no business looking at anything beyond this.
Completely honest and raw. I love it. Before we go, where can folks find you on online, social media, website?
Oh, you betcha. You can find me on all of the major platforms. That's Instagram. My Instagram is a little bit more authentic, so brace yourself. You're going to see a peek into my life. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, online at Roxy Ndebumadu. So for those that are curious, that is Roxy, N as in Nancy, D as in David, E as in Edward, B as in boy, U as in umbrella, M as in Mary, A as in apple, D as in David, and U as in umbrella at Roxy Ndebumadu on all social media platforms.
Love it. Roxy, this has been such a pleasure. Almost an hour. Almost an hour.
Almost an hour.
It doesn't feel like the way. I feel like we're just having a regular chit chat.
We were having a good time. So
Yeah.
Time's not important when you're enjoying yourself.
Absolutely. Bless you and take care, and hopefully you have a great week.
Thank you for all you're doing.